It's Tuesday evening and it's 6 p.m. UK time. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. I'm Saad in southeast London, where it is bright and muggy, really quite hot actually. And joining me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
Well, one is fine. The weather is just like what you have in London, muggy, hot.
Okay, good. So welcome listeners to this called Spiritual Discussion Program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And we have a new topic every week. The topic tonight is present day affliction and confusion. Present day affliction and confusion. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 95. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abdushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abdushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will you be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole, without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, the topic for discussion tonight is present-day affliction and confusion. Present-day affliction and confusion. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, the number is 00 44 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Gregory, as you know, I like to always look at the title or topic for discussion of each show, look in the dictionary for the meaning of the key words. So tonight's title is, or topic is, present-day affliction and confusion. So, I mean, present day, I think we know what that means. So I moved on to the next word, affliction. And in the dictionary, Gregory, I found the meaning there, 2 meanings. It says, affliction, a cause of pain or harm. And the example they give is a crippling affliction of the nervous system. So I would like to ask you, Gregory, on that meaning. Is that good for start for our discussion?
Thanks for this particular question. One would wonder, when such is given, but the question, or my question is, what is afflicted?
Okay, what is afflicted? Okay, so just that's very good. I would say that in this discussion we are talking about human beings, because it can include more than that, obviously. But you know, we know that obviously we're living with animals and other creatures. I mean, yeah, many species on this earth, and of course there's the plants and the environment, and nature as well. So let's actually define. You could say make our scope for the discussion. Otherwise, we could be talking about 100 million things. So affliction, Gregory, I'm referring to human beings, affliction of human beings, and the environment. You can say of the earth. Let me just think about that. Yes. What I'll say, Gregory, maybe you want to comment on that. What do you think we should cover in our discussion?
One needed clarity to discuss affliction. And to discuss it properly, there was a need to know what has been afflicted. That is, we have just limited the scope to basically human personalities and connecting the environment. One cannot refer to stones being afflicted, neither has one referred to plants being afflicted. But if plants are afflicted, therefore means that one should not eat any grain. So a different story altogether. What has been described so far only simply the outermost manifestation of what an affliction is. And again, it is that description is still very limited.
Right. So, I mean, this discussion, if we don't put a scope on it, as I say, we can talk about the whole universe. I'm not sure that is necessary. We need let's say, more focus. So, I would say let's put it this way, Gregory. We focus on the human beings first, and if other relevant areas need to be discussed, then we will bring them in as appropriate. So I don't want to put an exact definition, oh, this is the human beings, and then I say, let's say human beings on Earth. Let me start like that. And then as appropriate, we can add further. So let's keep it a bit open rather than specify everything now. Is that okay there, do you think? Okay. So yeah, because as you said, we need a bit of direction on that. And then, Gregory, just to continue, so the second meaning in the dictionary for affliction, it says the state of being in pain. So, and the example they gave is again referring to human beings, really, poor people in great affliction. So, if we start with that in our discussion, as I said, we can move forward, get further if we need to. Greg, I'm going to move on to the other word now, which is confusion. So again, listeners, the topic we're discussing tonight is present-day affliction and confusion. So the second word, or the last word there, is confusion. And in the dictionary, Gregory, I found the meaning uncertainty about what is happening, intended or required. And the example they give is there seems to be some confusion about which system does what. So again, Gregory, there are two meanings given, but I want to look at that one first. So I'll just repeat that. The meaning of confusion in the dictionary, uncertainty about what is happening, intended or required. Is that helpful in our discussion for the meaning?
It is at the same time very limited.
Okay. So what you're saying, we need to look at something more than that. What would you like to add to that?
Well, it's a matter of adding something to it, but looking at different perspectives.
Right. Do you mean like earthly, spiritual, universal?
Well,
in such a way?
As has been discussed, our discussion is limited first and foremost to the human personality. And to understand these expressions you have used, one must try to grasp how they impact on the human personality.
Fine. So yes, that's what we will do. And I just want to say this other meaning also about confusion, just so we have it in our minds. The state of being bewildered or unclear in one's mind about something. And this example they give here is she looked about her in confusion. So again, Gregory, is quite general. We haven't said what area we are looking at here. We just take it as a meaning. Yes, go on.
That expression, unclear, seems appropriate when one considers the framework of the laws of creation. So that unclear or lack of clarity, that okay.
Thank you for that. So what I'd like to do now is let's look at, we've said going to focus on the human personality. And the topic is present-day affliction and confusion. So maybe, Gregory, we need to say what we are talking about in terms of present-day affliction. Is it this? You could say poverty. I mean, there's so many points. The things are happening on this earth. Are we talking about affliction in poverty, in the, you say, or inequality in the world, or inequality, I should say, you know, between the different countries or peoples, and do we mean, yeah, and then also, you know, some places are in danger of the climate change. Well, the whole world is in danger, but some are more prone to you know, that disasters, let's say. It's happening more and more, for sure, everywhere in the world. But let's say some are more prepared than others. So let me think of this affliction now. So Gregory, should we think of this about the when they say present-day affliction? Should it be the earthly suffering in terms of let's say our quality of life on the earth?
To some extent, one may consider such. But when one refers to affliction, the first impression that strikes one is a state of distress, which distress subsequently manifests as suffering. That is an affliction. However, the question is, what is afflicted? If one limits one's view, perspective to the human personality, there are some afflictions which impact only on the physical body. Then the physical body has some, or is distressed one way or the other. It could be an injury on the body. It could be an injury on the brain. It could be a stress of the human personality due to overwork. And when one looks at the other side, the physical body can be excellent, performing excellently, yet there is still distress. In that case, that distress is not of the physical body. It's on the non-physical body. So these are the things that must be considered and see how they interrelate.
Thank you for that, Gregory. There's a, let's say we do have to think on that. So, I mean, I realize, yes, there's the health of, you know, you can have affliction in health. You can have mental affliction. Health, of course, mental is included in there, but I meant physical health, and then there's the mental aspect. Then there's Gregory, I mean, this is called the spiritual discussion program, so it could be our spiritual health as well there. And so there's, in fact, there's so many areas we can consider. Let me pick one to focus on at the moment. So what we can say, we've titled it present day affliction. It's sort of, so yes, it could say we are talking about things of today rather than the past. That's one point. But then there's something special that is happening in the present time that, let's say, was not so much in the past. Of course, there's 7-8 billion of us on the earth, so that's automatically different than any previous time. So you could say that it's in itself causes some issues. But then there's a lot of suffering, as we know, Gregory, stress, you pointed out already, there. So let's try to understand that. So Gregory, is it the, like work-life balance? What has led us to let's say, our health situation, our welfare, in terms of, let's call it, let's say, our mental health, Gregory. Let's look at, because we have to be specific to examine these things. So there seems to be more stress in the world and having a mental impact on many people in a quite a, let's say, drastic way. So is there something in our work-life balance that has led to these health, deteriorating health situation in big numbers? Because it's not that we didn't have issues in the past, but something seems to be on a higher scale now than in the past. So is that the case?
Well, I'm not quite sure of the numbers that you have mentioned, but very clearly, many can perceive that there is threat within communities, within families, within states and within nations, and also globally. This threat, which has been perceived, affects the human personality. By human personality, one is referring to the physical body of the human personality and the non-physical body. That which has been referred to as this stress, which causes a lot of suffering, must have a source. And since we assume that there must be a source, it must be that the framework through which we all came into existence, if we do not live our lives to resonate with this particular framework, then the likelihood is disharmony. It is that disharmony that causes stress.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory. We talk about the framework in pretty much every show, and straight away I'm thinking, okay, we accept things, let's say in science, to explain how something works. There is a system there, and here we're talking about framework. Now, but the thing is, are we at all aware of a framework? Yes, we live in this universe. We know that we are living on this earth, and there's air, and there's nature, and we have to eat to live. We have to, these sort of basic, you could say, necessities of life. We are aware of them. So, are you saying, Gregory, there's more that we need to be aware of with regards to the framework?
One must be very clear about this, that the human personality may be aware of this framework intellectually, because it's so intrinsic. Very simple example is that for one to continue to use one's physical body here on earth, the need for intake and expulsion. That's basically what you have as breathing in and breathing out. It's not rocket science. Whenever you have a balance between breathing in and breathing out, one says things are in harmony. So it is assumed. If, however, there is no balance between this exchange, then there will be causes of distress for the human personality within the physical body. Just as you have this within the physical body, so also in the realm of the non-physical body. And in that particular scenario, therein comes the human intuition, where there must be a balance between receiving and giving.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Looks now we started, you could say, our discussion proper. You just mentioned about this law of balance between giving and receiving, and it looks like, as you say, intellectually we grasp these things, like they can say common sense, but have we really grasped this concept, or in a way that's, you could say, you're taking this, let's say, for granted, but not really appreciating it, how important actually it is. So thank you for bringing that up. So it's like we have to become conscious rather than just having some information in our head. So thank you for that. So, you said just now, Gregory, about balance. So immediately, and you said, you also mentioned before about distress. So it's automatically, just by linking those 2 points, words, you can see, if there is affliction, it must be like an imbalance somehow that has led to that. So, Gregory, what I'm seeing from that is we need to be in harmony with the framework, that exists. But Gregory, not as you said intellectually, but somehow, but actually, let's say, consciously. So, how can, Gregory, we can be aware of that framework or conscious of this framework in a, I'm going to use the word living way. How can we become aware of this framework and working with this framework in a living way?
What you yourself just mentioned, a living way, only implies externally the outermost manifestation of this balance. What is referred to here is not only the outermost manifestation that one finds that has an impact on the physical body, but also the manifestations or this framework, which is referred to, is the framework through which we ourselves, as human personality, came into this same framework that all that exists, that we are able to perceive, came into existence. And the tool through which one is able to perceive that particular tool for the human personality is human vision. It is because the human personality has not deeply investigated or understood what the intuition is. And that being the case, many things are ignored until the stress sets in. So the key here is for the human personality to allow its intuition to manifest better and better. In that case, many things can be perceived even before precipitate physically on the earth.
Thank you for that, Gregory. It's really building up our picture, of how we have to be, to be in harmony with this world. So thank you for that. Dear listeners, you are listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abrushin. And if you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is present day affliction and confusion. Present day affliction and confusion. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, live stream. That's for the live show. You can also listen to the recording of the show the next day. Again, go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, Grail Message, and space, the topic of the show, which is present day affliction and confusion. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on zeno.fm/Bless Radio 1. Zeno is ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, the number 1. Gregory, this, as I started this in the beginning of our show, there's so many areas where you can say affliction is happening. We just talked about health, and you could say our well-being, and you pointed to the need for using our intuition, and to, you could say, guide us or direct us. Let me ask you a bit more about the intuition, Gregory. This intuition, where does it come from? And how is it able? Why should we? Why should we follow it?
One must understand what creation. When it
Sorry, Gregory, just to interrupt. Your voice is going in and out, so every other word I hear it loudly, and the second word I hear it faintly. So I don't know if there's any issue with the microphone, but it's just like in and out. So if you can maybe just be a bit louder.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
One must consider the framework of creation as appertain to the human personality. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. In that case, the human personality, that which we see externally, is only the physical body, which physical body is used here on earth for experiencing. It is a tool which the inner personality, that inner personality which when we have that the physical body is no more, that means it now disintegrates after the process of dying. That which remains is referred to as the soul. That soul is able to work with the human body via a process referred to as radiations. And in the radiation between the human soul and the physical body, there must be a balance. Whenever there is no balance, then the tendency is towards what many refer to as mental illnesses. It has so many consequences. For the human body, it's only a tool that the soul uses to experience. That signal, that sense through which that particular soul must use to communicate with the physical body, that one is an impression. And that impression is called the intuitive perception. So in that particular case, you have on the one hand the physical body, which physical body is granted the 5 senses to utilize to experience, and on the other hand is the human soul. The core of the human soul is the human spirit, which human spirit wishes to become conscious through experiencing. In the process of experiencing, it matures. It matures, it becomes conscious, and subsequently, it becomes self-conscious. It becomes self-conscious only when it has cultivated those virtues, those talents, which have been implanted in it to have to come to fruition. That is why the human personality is here in the world of matter and particularly here on earth. And for it to communicate with the physical body, it does that through the intuition. That intuition hits the back brain, and that intuition is supposed to be interpreted aright by the frontal brain, which acts like a chief executive. Therefore, it is important that the intuition, which is the wave of expressions or the wave of power, which is sent out from the human soul or from the spirit, impacting on the back brain, that wave of power should be interpreted aright by the frontal brain. If, however, that is not the case, then definitely there will be distress, there will be illnesses, there will be confusion.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this picture you have given. I really like the word sense. We have our five senses of, you could say, the physical senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And here we have another sense, the intuition. Maybe briefly, Gregory, we could talk about the difference between the intuition and the five senses that we are very familiar with. So, what's the main difference between those five senses and the intuition?
It is assumed that everyone has five senses and is able to identify them. When one refers to one's intuition...
Sorry, Gregory, again, your voice is going in and out. If you can just speak loudly again.
Actually, I'm shouting here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead, yes.
When one refers to one's intuition, that which impresses on the back brain and subsequently on the frontal brain, which produces a picture without words. That thought impression, which produces a picture without words, is the human intuition.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Again, we are building this picture now, of our, you could say, our abilities that we've been carrying with us. And, as a baby and a child, you learn how to use our body and, learn other things as well. Is the same, you can say, applies with the intuition. You're not aware maybe of its presence. But then as we grow, it sort of appears. And when I say appeared, it was there always, but just we were not aware of it, or we didn't take notice of it. So it's good to point it out. Now, Gregory, there's another clarification I would like to um, go look at, we talk many times about the intellect. So where does that come in this picture of, we got the five, you could say, physical senses, and we have the intuition, which let's call it a spiritual sense. And so what about the intellect, Gregory? Where does that come in?
The intellect is again a tool which collects outer impressions through the five senses and stores it temporarily in the frontal brain. The intellect, I will repeat, is the tool that collects the outer impressions. This tool collects these outer impressions and stores them on a temporary basis on the frontal brain. And if these impressions are strong and sharp enough, it also has an impact on the back brain, which then subsequently goes to the spirit to use as experience.
Thank you for that. What I'm thinking, Gregory, is, there's supposed to be, you could say, a natural order. So all these abilities that we have, you just mentioned the five senses, you mentioned the intellect, you mentioned the intuition, they need to work in harmony, let's say according to natural order. And already, like we are implying, that yes, the affliction, the present day affliction and confusion that people go through, it is that the natural order has been disturbed. Or you said earlier, distressed. We are going under distress. So somehow that process has been, of the natural order, has been disturbed, let's say. Now, let me think of some situation. So, Gregory, when, let's talk about a little bit another different angle, Gregory. So on the earth we have, animals, as we know, and there's, let's say, there's the theory of Darwin talking about survival of the fittest or natural selection. And so then, Gregory, so that's the animals, Then we say, let's not worry about evolution for the time being. We'll just go to human beings. On the earth, Gregory, we have many human races, cultures, you can say, peoples. And we know in our history there has been slavery, people, one race or people trying to dominate another people, wars, you can say. Is that part of natural development? These, because why I'm saying that, Gregory, because animals, they fight each other, and the stronger one wins, and and that survives. So is there something similar in the human development, human races development, that there are all these different races or peoples, and they sort of compete, and whoever is the stronger one continues, and the other one dies out, or whatever the way it is, how we put it. But Gregory, yeah, so is there meant to be some natural order like that with the human race?
What many refer to as the human race is only the manifestation of the attraction of similar ability, or the manifestation. One may also refer to these as grouping, the coming together of a group of human personality in accordance with their maturity. And you do find that in the course of time, a human personality may belong to one race, and in another earth life, it belongs to another race. And in another earth life, it goes to another race. All these are only a manifestation of how that race has built up itself in their recognition. So it is the recognition of the natural laws of creation, the maturity which has accrued to such peoples. It is that which makes so-called the race. So you may find in one earth life, a personality was a slave. In another earth life, he became a slave owner because for vengeance sake, such vengeance is held deep within the human personality and goes about not learning the necessary lesson, having suffered in the hands of others. It wants to inflict it on others. And he or she then, incarnates in a place where such is possible. So he or she, who was a slave, now becomes a slave merchant. So there are all sorts of possibilities within the laws of creation. However, should a personality, should a group of personalities which have come together, which have accumulated, if they proceed to develop the virtues which have been implanted in them, then in a step-by-step manner, they will open up to the radiations that stream through creations. They will then ennoble themselves accordingly. And many of these afflictions, like you mentioned, case of the slave trade, and many of other afflictions will vanish in all naturalness. Because before long, compassion will awaken within the different races. Then they themselves will know that this earth, they occupy this earth with other people. And for them to survive, it is one for all and all for one. And such unnecessary competition in trying to destroy one another is unhelpful. Like you rightly said, many have brought forward this survival of the fittest. The survival of the fittest has been wrongly interpreted, because in that survival of the fittest, many consider fighting with others. That is not what really is meant. The survival of the fittest is the survival of those who, in their maturity, have come to better recognitions of these laws of creation, so as to fit their intuition and their behaviors aright. That is the survival of the fittest. And when they have learned to do that, then compassion, which is a virtue, will awaken deep within them. having gone through such circumstances of suffering or of low development, then in their activities, they would strive to support the others who, like them, are striving to mature. Then the situation will arise where there will be no competition as has been perceived, but only support for one another.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Many times you have said all for one and one for all. And I was wondering in that last question, when I talk about competition, that, this ideal concept of all for one and one for all, is that, implanted or known to the different peoples, let's say. I won't go in race, just different peoples. Is that really implanted in all of this, in everyone, basically?
We are talking about human personalities. Now, we have the climate challenges, where in one part of the earth, we have either erosions, heavy rainfall, in another part we have dryness, and it's becoming very clear that the whole earth is one unit. One cannot split and say, oh, this is my side of it. When there was COVID, it had no boundary. When there is pollution in the air, of course, the rotation of the earth ensures that the wind goes around. So one cannot say, oh, must we learn about one for all and all for one? It's intrinsic for anyone who is intuitive enough. It is the intellect in its short-sightedness that cannot intuitively, of course, the intellect cannot be intuitive, perceive of the connections in a place like the earth, how things act adversely. So in that case, we are in it. All of us are in it, and therefore we must support one another to get out of it.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Now, I've got another question on about weaknesses, strengths and weaknesses. Gregory, we mentioned that in the beginning when we talk about, in the introduction of that I read about the Grail Message, that we have strengths and weaknesses. So, is it our weaknesses that are leading to affliction, Gregory? Is that what is leading to the affliction?
To some extent, when one does not strive to cultivate that which is virtuous, when you have a scenario where many things have been ignored, because these have been ignored, it causes what we may refer to as imbalance. And those imbalance precipitate some other things which were not initially assumed or thought about. So such becomes weaknesses. Whatever talent has been granted to the human personality, which human personality has refused to cultivate, that talent becomes a weakness.
Thank you for that. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushing. If you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic we're discussing in our show tonight is present day affliction and confusion. Present day affliction and confusion. And we're talking about human beings and let's say their activity on the earth. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, live stream. That's for the live show. You can also listen to the recording of this show again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is present day affliction and confusion. Of course, you can listen to our previous shows as well, also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1. And Zeno is spelled ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. Again, the number 1 there. Gregory, I want to ask, we human beings, we know we are developing, learning. Now, are we developing, Gregory, through experimentation? As you could say, we say pay as you go, but you can say learn as you go. So maybe we which is like, you try that, you try this. I'm using the word experimentation. So the question is, Gregory, are we meant to be developing through experimentation, or are we meant to be guided?
We are meant to experience. In experiencing, the outer impressions gathered via the 5 senses are passed on or accumulate in the frontal brain. The frontal brain passes these outer impressions, sends them to the back brain, which subsequently forward them to the spirit as experiences. It is the human spirit that makes use of these experiences, which have been gathered externally, to mature. So when you ask the question experimentally, it becomes unclear because one is referring here to experiencing. in passing these impressions to the human spirit has the capacity to evaluate these experiences in accordance with the laws of creation, and therefore comes to a better conclusion, and it thereby matures. And in return, it will then make use of that experience for further maturing, and is able to guide the physical body. At the same time, there is guidance. The guidance which the intuition is able to perceive, to be open to the streams of radiation. Which streams of radiation come through these virtues which are personalized, the virtue of steadfastness, of modesty, of grace, of truthfulness. These experiences which have been gathered externally are passed on to the spirit, and this spirit, in making use of that which it has received externally and the impressions which these personalized virtues have sent, is able to make use of these aright, and in that case matures. Very soon it will then come to a state of self-consciousness, which means is able to swing resonantly within the laws of creation in such a way that errors, excesses are minimized.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this answer and picture you painted. You see, you could see, Gregory, how sometimes we see things, obviously from our own point of view, but you could say even earthly point of view, and but there's the bigger or broader picture which we are, let's say, maybe not looking at. Like you say, I said, is it experimentation? Are we living life through experimentation? But actually, you said it's about experiencing. And as soon as you said that word, the picture is different. How you understand this life suddenly shifts. So, for example, we are talking about affliction, present-day affliction and confusion. You could call it suffering, distress, like you said. But if you see it as experiencing, you don't think of it, like a negative way. You could say, oh, okay, yes, something happened, mistake happened, or misjudgment, whatever it is, but it's not like, and I'm going to use this in quotes, end of the world. It's not like disaster as you might imagine, or the pain that you could suffer. It's only, let's say, in that moment or for some duration, but actually there's you could say, uplifting goal that we are heading for, so which gives you hope. So it just gives you a totally different picture, Gregory, like you painted now. And as soon how you see life, how you're going to act. So it's so important to see it in that, let's say, correct, I will use the word correct light, or broader light, broader picture. So thank you for that. And you also mentioned, Gregory, that yes, there is guidance as well. So these things go in hand. We are experiencing, and there's also guidance. So, with reference to that, Gregory, now we are aware, in the world history, you can say, of humanity, that we have had many great spiritual teachings, you can say, uh, coming from different, let's say, prophets or messengers. For example, Buddha, Zoroaster, Krishna, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. Now, this guidance, Gregory, is it from? I'm trying to think of the right way to say that. Is it from? It is, let's say, given to us, but how can we? Let me say, take it in. Yeah. Let me first say, Gregory, what is the point of these teachings? Let me say the spiritual teachings. Why are they being given by these different teachers over time?
Of course, different.
Sorry, Gregory. Again, sorry, your voice again going in and out. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's clear now.
Of course, different communities mature at different rates. That means they come to recognition gradually. Therefore, you will find that in the wisdom, this wisdom lies in the laws of creation. There is the guidance which is presented in the teaching to assist one particular accumulation of personalities here on earth, such that they will mature in a step-by-step fashion in their recognition of the laws of nature or the laws of creation. So there is a variation. However, the key thing here has always been the gradual maturity, the gradual guidance within these teachings. This teaching is to enable the human personality to grasp the laws of creation aright, the laws through which they themselves came into existence, such that their inner personality will gradually graduate from cognitions of what is present to recognitions, such that they will now become self-conscious. So you will find in all the teachings, these teachings help to transform these personalities that form the group in a nation. Whatever one wants to call them, whether you call them tribes, these are all accumulations of human personalities. And the key thing for them is to recognize aright these laws of creation. In the recognitions of the laws of creation, they themselves will know how to make use of it such that it will bring them benefits. To do that, in the process of recognitions, those virtues which have been implanted in them will come to fruition and will flower. That has been the goal of these teachings.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. I want to explore another aspect of this spiritual teachings, Gregory. Basically, in the world, Gregory, there are two branches of these spiritual teachings. one believing in the one God. We call it the monotheistic faiths, Abrahamic faiths, let's say. And then the other hand, there is the other branch, I should say, where they believe in multiple gods or deities, as we know from like Roman, Greek, Hindu, and other original or traditional, let's say ancient teachings, in Africa, America, and other cultures around the world. So
Hello?
Sorry,
Hello?
I don't know what's happening there.
Hello?
Okay, just hold on, Gregory. I don't know what's happened there. Somehow. Yes, can you hear me? Gregory, can you hear me now? Yes. Somehow there was a replay. I don't know if, there's always a little bit delay in the broadcast, so I'm not quite sure how we managed to get that at the same time. So apologies, listeners, for that little interruption. So let's repeat the question, Gregory. So, we just talked about spiritual teachings. What I want to say, there are two main branches in the world in the spiritual teachings. One is where there's the belief in the one God. We call it monotheistic religions or faiths. And then the other branch where they believe in multiple gods or deities, like the Romans, Greeks, Hindu, and other ancient traditional beliefs, in Africa, America, and so on. So my question on that, Gregory, is which one is true? And why were there different teachings given to the different peoples?
When you ask which one is true, it seems, therefore, that there's the consideration that one of it is wrong and the other one is right. However, how does one understand that which is wrong and that which is right? At the initial stages of development, we heard that different human personalities are able to perceive that which is or which was nearest to them. Now, in that case, many of these human personalities were able, in their intuition, to perceive of thought forms. Subsequently, as they matured, they were able to perceive of their intuitions that has taken on form. And as they matured further and further, they were able to perceive of the forces that made nature what it is or what it was. And in perceiving of the forces of nature, their inner eyes were open to the activities of these forces, and they gave these forces, the forces that were responsible for fire, of water, of the earth. Some were able to see the gnomes of the earth, these forces that made the earth possible initially, before the human personality incarnated in the physical body of an animal. And in their gradual maturity, they were able to see things which were non-earthly, which one may refer to as the ethereal. And as they matured further, they were able to see of the animistic, which animistics they called Apollo. They called them different names in different communities, but these were the same. And as they matured and matured, that which they called gods initially, they themselves came to a recognition that there was something behind those they called the gods. There was that which impels them to act And as they matured, they were able to see those in creation which were spiritual personalities. Where if they had followed that mode of maturity, then they would have come to a pedestal through which many will send the uniform stream of radiations which stream from the height of heights. And then subsequently, they would have come to know that this stream of radiation has a source from which source power came into existence. It is that thought that many have now come to recognize as monode. That being the case, so starting from the beginning in their gradual maturing, it is right. It was not wrong initially because they were maturing at different stages. Even right now, the so-called medicine man who is able to perceive of thought forms, of forces in nature, who and respect and swing harmoniously with these forces in nature, with these forces in creation, is more important to creation, to nature, because he or she lives harmoniously with these forces and much better than a personality that has had of the highest but does not know how to use the streams of radiations that come from the highest.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory, and the explanation of, let's say, what we superficially see and, make our own understanding out of it. That, these are differences between different teachings, this is what it is. But actually, there is the bigger picture, as we keep pointing out, which we are not really aware of or conscious of, that actually this is all one knowledge. Or as you mentioned, Gregory, before, there's just the old teaching about the laws of creation and or nature and the activities in this creation, and it's been different teachings have given focus on different aspects of it, and so then it looks like, they're different between the different teachings are different, or each teaching is different, but actually it's just part of the, you could say, the big picture. We are giving part of the big picture, and let's say we are making a mistake to think that, that is it, that one picture that we have been given, that is the whole picture, but it's only part of the big picture. So, or the big picture. I'm just putting it in these words to, let's say, make it quite clear, what actually is happening. Now, Gregory, just carrying on a little bit more on this point about the different faiths. Now, Gregory, we know that these, especially the major teachings, they have their scriptures, which we are told are holy and divinely inspired, and yet we find differences in between the religions. Is that in these texts which are supposed to be divinely guided or inspired, there can be such contradictions.
At the moment, there have been discussions. For the laws of creation, these laws of creation are manifestations of the divine will, These manifestations or these laws of creation are self-consistent. They are self-harmonious. So whenever you find contradictions, it is men who introduce these contradictions in it because they do not understand what has been written or what is demanded of them. Therefore, all this sort of confusion, like you had in the topic, the confusion has arisen because men have introduced distortions into it.
Thank you for that. So, Gregory, being aware of that now, I want to ask, should we then not rely on these scriptures, because we cannot be sure about their, how can I say, correctness? Not everything is wrong. We're not saying everything is wrong, but this, let's say, points which are not correct, let's say correctly transmitted, or so.
So whatever accosts you, whatever challenge one comes across, one must strive to subject these challenges to the divine laws or the laws of creation, or say the laws of nature. If they are consistent with the laws of creation, then the human personality should make its judgment accordingly. Therefore, it is very difficult to advise one to accept or not to accept. What is key is whatever accosts the human personality, that the human personality must take and examine rigorously with their intuition. Thereafter, they should make their decisions.
Thank you for that, Gregory. That last part about the intuition there also, because we need, as we always keep saying, there has to be a framework or a reference point. So unless you have that, you're not going to be able to, weigh and examine, as we've said, even in a topic not so long ago. How do we weigh and examine? You need a framework to look at, to weigh and examine with. Gregory, just going on to these laws of nature, are we meant to just, how can I say, be aware of these laws of nature through our intuition, just directly like that? Is why I'm saying that, Gregory. So, if something doesn't make, you could say, common sense, you read a statement and it doesn't make sense, because intuition is a sense. You said it's a so if it doesn't make sense, does it mean we shouldn't accept it to our common sense? Yes.
One may accept or reject depending on the degree of weighing and examining. Therefore, one must weigh and examine again and again with one's intuition. It is the level of examination or the depths of examinations and weighing that leads one towards recognition. Every human personality is presented with a cognition that which they themselves are able to perceive with their senses. They need to move from that state of cognition to another state of recognition in accordance with these laws, through which he himself or herself came into existence. And that is a mammoth task for the human personality. For the process of such weighing and examining will call for all the virtues. Which virtues are instituted, are personal, which virtues radiate power, radiate wisdom, which wisdom and power and love is supposed to be used. So it is not sufficient to be aware. It is also important to go into activities. Only through activities is the human personality alive. Otherwise, awareness, like you mentioned, is like being conscious, but does not see what is happening, and yet does not participate. That is not what is intended. There must be rigorous activity in one's examination and weighing.
Thank you again, Gregory, for that picture and answer there. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. If you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is present day affliction and confusion. Present day affliction and confusion. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Type in the search box. Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number 1, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is present day affliction and confusion. And the recording is available the next day. You can, of course, you can also listen to our previous shows on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, ZENO, .fm / Bless Radio 1, the number 1. Now, Gregory, I want to think about, let's say, some specific situations which people in the world are suffering. You know, it's not even now present day, it's been going on, you could say, throughout time. The example I'm thinking, Gregory, I mean, we have, let me say, the class system or caste, let's call it just class system, upper, middle, and lower class, all throughout the world. And there seems to be always a battle, with one, it looks like dominating the other one, so it's like one is working on the expense of another group, especially now we have this cost of living crisis. Lot of, especially in the UK, I don't know what's exactly happening in the rest of the world, but we know this cost of the living crisis affecting the whole world. But in the UK, for example, we are seeing people going to strikes, thinking of going on strikes because they say the pay hasn't risen for so many years, and they want to, and the inflation is jumping big, large amount, and they're really suffering now, and so they want to protest and get what they think is right for them. So, and Gregory, sometimes this comes out as a fight between, as I said, the different classes. The ones who are well off, they're not suffering financially at all, while the ones who are the other end, let's call it the lower class end, they're suffering much more significantly. So my question on that, Gregory, is with regard to the present day affliction and maybe you can call it confusion as well. Is there meant to be this system of the upper, middle, and lower classes where people sort of become quite bitter in their views, let's say one group thinking we are being controlled by another and so on. So is that system meant to be of this upper, middle, and lower class? Yes. Okay. I will say, I don't know if you heard the beginning of what I was saying, Gregory, which is the cost of living crisis. There's a lot of strikes and people asking for pay rise. And so the people are suffering. I know that these things have been going on for years and centuries in the past as well. But in the current climate, inflation has reached very high, like 10%, let's say in UK. And there's some people are feeling some pain, affliction, you can say, more painfully so than in the past. And so there's like what I'm basically saying, there's a fight between, let's say, the upper classes and the lower classes, and the middle classes are in the middle, so they're not quite feeling the same pain. But there seems to be a battle between the classes, which is ongoing for centuries, like I say. So my question is, Gregory, should there be such a system of these classes? Because there seems to be quite a lot of bitterness, that some people are making. Yeah. Go on.
As with everything, there are accumulations of human personality within a society, and these so-called classes or groupings have specific talent which they offer. As you have in music, there are different instruments. There are high notes and there are low notes. But these high notes do not suppress the low notes. These notes are played side by side. And in such side-by-side exhibition, in such manifestation, we have harmony abounding, lots of harmony. The classes themselves are justified. But these classes, those who make up these classes, the implementation of these classes should be such that they exist side by side, not one above the other, suppressing the other one. as you well know, even in music, in which you have guitars, in which you have trombones, in which you have drums, we can hear the drums. The drums which are harmonious with the trombone, or the drums which are also harmonious with the guitars or the violins. As long as these are played side by side in harmony, then there will be no disenfranchisement. The issue has always been, over millennia, one group looking down on another group and wishing to tell them they don't exist. You have the case of those who, take for instance, in the case of farming, there are some who plant wheat. There are some who plant oats. There are some who farm in cattle. These make up the community. If those who farm in cattle move away and allow only those who farm on wheat to stay, how will they make up for the minerals which come from cattle, from the milk which come from cattle? Whatever way one examines it, these classes, necessary as they are, because they talk of specific gifts of the different classes, they should work side by side. In that side by side working also means one for all and all for one.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this answer and explanation about, how we should look at these things and how we should really work, you can say, together. So thank you for that. I just want to read a text I've received from a listener. It's more of a comment rather than a question. Let me just find it here. It says, this is Gregory, what you're talking about, what you said earlier, which is that the intuition together with the love and wisdom seems an enormous undertaking that very few people, few on earth are capable of, because they're led by the intellect. I'll just read it again. Their intuition together with love and wisdom seems an enormous undertaking that very few people on earth are capable of, because they're led by the intellect. Anything you'd like to say on that, Gregory? Gregory, Gregory, did you hear me?
Oh, just a minute. Can you hear me now?
Did you hear me, Gregory?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, go on.
What is referred to as intuition is the tool, is the language. That language, which, when looked at carefully, expresses love, expresses wisdom. So that intuition which one refers to is only the tool, the language, in which love and wisdom are expressed. What has happened while there is so much confusion is that the intuition, which is that picture, which carries with it the power, has not been interpreted aright, or the human personality, the human spirit, is too weak to express itself. In that particular scenario, you have that the frontal brain, which is always in constant activity, then dominates. And because it dominates, the impression which it has are only temporary. They are not far-reaching. In that particular case, you have that whatever decision that is made is so short-sighted. Such short-sightedness precipitates catastrophe.
Thank you for that, Gregory. I've got another question here, Gregory. Sort of following on from the class system that we have, this is about politics, Gregory. There's, let's say, left and right wings in politics, and which leads to division. And the people hold, just like the class system, they hold some very strong views. The one is right, the other one is wrong. Each side is like that against the other one, and thinking one is fighting justice, equality, freedom. Some of it is freedom for the people, some of it is freedom of the individual. Let's say each individual should be allowed to have his own business and make as much profit as he or she wants. And others are saying, don't forget the other part of society, because they need to share it with them as well, not just become like an individual, and just as if you're the creator, so you should reap the reward of being the creator of the business, you can say. So Gregory, so my question on that is, so we have this politics in the world, Gregory, right and left wing, I'm calling it. And so should we, and that is always constant division. That's the point I'm trying to make. So should we engage in this in politics?
In politics, as you yourself have described, the game there, which causes so much confusion, is that what they say is not what they mean. And what they mean...
Sorry, Gregory. Can you just speak up? It's very faint. Well, not hard. I can't hear you, basically.
In politics... Can you hear that?
Now it's clear. Yes, now it's clear.
In politics, what they say is not what they mean. And what they mean is not what they say. Therefore, there is no clarity. There is confusion. Whereas that which we are discussing here, which work is in the light of truth, the Grail Message, there is clarity, which clarity is in accordance with the laws of creation through which the human personality came into existence. Therefore, it is very difficult or impossible for one to say something to say that which they do not mean, or to mean that which they do not say. That is reserved for politics. And that is why one cannot really comment on how, they do their businesses.
Thank you for that. Yes. I mean, again, we have used this phrase a lot, all for one and one for all. And I was highlighting that the way the politics works is, if we take out the things, not knowing whether something is true or not true when somebody's claiming one thing or the other, if we put that to the side and just let's say those who are following it out of idealism, let me say that way, or for the benefit of the country or people. Maybe I'm being naive when I say these words, but I believe some people genuinely do want to contribute to this, the country, and help the community. Not everybody is scheming and lying and whatever game that some people play, which we know they play. And even we know it's maybe because this is what they think they need to do to get to power. So, but what I was just pointing to there, Gregory, is that, we say all for one and one for all, but this politics, the way it functions, is it brings division. One is right, the other one is wrong. It's like a fight, and then so there's. I don't think people realize, if I were to give my own answer here, that when we engage in this type of activity, we are coming to blows, which is going to have some serious consequences, for which we know cannot be in line with all for one and one for all. So this is just to, let's say, something I would like to say. Thank you for that, Gregory, for your answer. Now, I know, Gregory, I talked about this earlier, about the climate change, the massive things happening in the environment, bringing terrible disasters on an unprecedented scale now. So I was wondering, Gregory, in the past, there used to be, I'm sort of comparing it with nature's activity. There used to be, before man was on the earth, there was the dinosaurs. And then at one point, they all got wiped out. Whatever event wiped them out, it doesn't matter too much. So nature, let's say, brought a new time, or you could call it transformation. So my question is, Gregory, now that we are experiencing this massive worldwide climate and environmental changes, is that also a new time of transformation for mankind and through nature, rather than just human activity? Because the dinosaurs, I don't think they wiped themselves out. It was some natural event that led, because they all became extinct. So, well, nobody has the exact story, but that is what is being said. So I'm just trying to compare that with, that was, let's say, done by nature, and the time of the climatic change that is happening now. Is that brought up by nature, or it is just simply human activity?
That which you refer to as being wiped out in nature, those ones were subjected to the laws of creation. What you may be referring to will be the transformation through recognition of the human personality, that is the core of the person, which is of spirit, that needs to understand aright the law of creation through which it came into existence, such that by swinging harmoniously with these laws, it will bring a transformation of all that is. A transformation in the sense of an ennobling of that which already exists in nature. Strictly speaking, that is the task of man as a human spirit that is tending towards maturity, such that is able to understand the forces here in the world of matter, and to make use of the radiation. These radiations come outside the world of matter, outside also the world of the animistic, which radiations come from the higher realms, making use of these streams of radiation to ennoble the earth. That, one would say, is different with the destruction which for now abound.
Thank you again, Gregory, for this answer. Now we're coming to the end of the show, listeners. I hope you enjoyed our discussion on present-day affliction and confusion. Uh, as usual, I like to end the show with reading from the Grail Message, from the beginning of the Grail Message, which is the foreword actually, and it's titled "For Your Guidance." The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I am addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abrushin. Dear listeners, if you are interested in the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail message.com. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing them a beautiful week. Enjoy the weather.
Thank you. And dear listeners, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic. Hope you can join us then. I wish you all a great week. God bless. Good night.